Good morning, class. Today, we will be starting a new module altogether as we are approaching our second half of our lessons in programming. Um, by the end of this module, I expect you to be creating three group projects, one which includes uh, a fully fleshed out turn-based game based on the one we've previously have created for module 2. So this one will involve several object-oriented principles that we have discussed in Module 1, which includes encapsulation, abstraction, and several other OOP principles. So, if you want to follow us in our reading, I urge you to open your Blackboard and look for Module 2 or Module 3, Lesson 2. You can find everything that I have been discussing today. You will find it there. So we will be starting our topic with overloading methods. As mentioned in the introduction of the chapter, there are several topics covered here, aside from the main concepts. First section covers the concept of overloading methods. We will be learning overloading methods today, as simple as it can be, as well as a few more techniques and how to execute it in an efficient manner. So, overloading simply refers to using the same name for more than one method in the same class. Java and many other languages can determine which method you are calling as long as the number or type of parameters is different in each method. This is illustrated with a few examples. So, in this example, it is showing you uh, a code um, about a public class called book. So let's try the code if it is correct. So I will be creating a new class, a dummy class, just for this example. So I will right click this, the new, then I will name it book. I will just copy the code from here, insert it here. As you will notice, there is an error. The error is caused by having the same name for the same method. As you might have already known, right, in our lessons in data types, that reusing the name is not actually viable. For example, if we are going to create another int or string, the number of readings, it will actually throw an error because the name is already been occupied. As you might notice in the error, variable number of readings is already defined. You can see it here in line 7. So you cannot reuse the same variable for another instance. But methods are an exception to this. So methods um, actually allows you to reuse its name or actually reuse the name of the variable or the method in order to create multifunctionality. So in this example, the error is caused because though it is valid that you can uh, reuse the same name for a different method. For example here, void read, meaning we have created a method read. Just a refresher to jog your memory. Void is a data type being used to create methods. Though you can create methods with other data types, the difference between void and other data types is that void allows you to create a method without actually having a return value. For example, here in hero class, you will see here in the hero class, let me just, here in hero class, we have created a method with an int data type. So let me just expand it there. So we have created a, uh, what do you call this? A method. Sir, how do I figure out if what is being created is a method? One indicator that it is a method is it has a parenthesis beside it. Again, one indicator that a method is being used is that it has a parenthesis beside it. So we have created a total health with, or we have declared an int total health method that has a value of uh, this one. It has a return data type, right? But for void data types, it doesn't have a return value, meaning it can function without actually giving you any data. So for this one, if I have to state what the lines mean, the public void read here actually just changes the value here. If void read is executed, for example, I'm going to use void read here. Let me drag it here. Then let's just say I will use the void read. Let's just occupy a very clean space here. We can use the code. Let's just say we will be using uh, the book class. So book, then the name of the book, let's just say uh, book 1984, then equals new book. So this is how you call a class, okay? This is how you call a class. You can recall this from our previous video, which is in lesson 13, about how to reuse the class. So here we are declaring a new book. We called it 1984. So here we can use the void read method. Let's just say book 1984 dot read. So what is happening here is that it is getting confused with the two functions here. What are you referring to when using the void read? Because there are two void reads here. That's why it is throwing an error. So let's just mark this as unusable code for a bit. So I will explain what the code here means. So when you execute uh, the .read function here in our main activity, the Boolean is read will become true. This will become true. Again, just an orientation of what Boolean is. Boolean is a data type that only receives two values. It's either true or false. Right? Boolean is a data type that receives only two values. It's either true or false. So if you execute .read function here, or the public void read, this will become true. Now, here comes the problem. That's why it has an error here. There is another public void read in which it adds the number of reads that you have made. So basically, the function here is that um, it actually uh, tells you that you have read a book and as well as count how many times you have read the book. So this one is just an increment, right? The meaning of this is number of readings is equals to number of readings plus 1. So that is what is happening here. So there is an error because you are calling for the same method. Though they might have the different function. For example, this one adds a value of true here, and this one adds a value of 1 in the number of readings. You are doing it wrong. So let's go back to our to the lesson that we have read earlier. So if you try this in Android Studio, you will see errors indicating that read method has been duplicated. So that is what is happening. The read method has been duplicated. The problem is that you have two methods with the same name and neither has any parameters. Parameters means that the data that are being used to actually make the method function. So there is another set of code that is being given here. So let's just copy this bit here and replace it to the one that is currently in our screen right now. So as you will notice, there is a slight difference in uh there's a slight difference in the code. So let's analyze what is actually being told here. So we have two public void reads here. The difference is that the other void read has a parameter of int I, right? It has a parameter of int I. So let's analyze the first void read method first. So here, if we execute book read here, there will be no error, right? So if we execute book read, for example here, as you notice, it is running currently. So what is happening is that once you execute this book read, what is happening here is that book read book 9084 dot that is read becomes true. That is what is happening in this code, right? Because the function converts, gives a value of true to is read. Now, it executes another uh, function. So the second function is that uh, adds a value of 1 to number of readings. So what is happening here is that book read book 1984 dot number of readings. So this is what is happening in the second line. I don't want to execute this because it is already running in the function. I'm just stating what is happening currently. So now, how do we use the second void read function? So let's just say uh, we will be adding another book. Hmm. We will be adding another book. Hmm. So we have added a very long name for our new book. So let's just execute. Uh, anyway, there are auto suggestions. So having a long variable name is not a problem. So let's just press tab, then dot read. Then you will notice if you click or if you press that, there will be two suggestions in read. The same void functions that we have created in book.java, right? So this time we will be using the read, but with a parameter of int I. So it requires you to input a number. That's what int I is for. So let's just say 6. So let me state what is happening here. So what is happening here is that again, it is just a repeat here, but here adds a value of I to number of readings. Unlike the previous one that we have created for the first void function read, this one, you are free to modify how much you have actually read the book. For example, there are many bookworms among us that actually likes to read book over and over and over to because we're actually fond of reading what the literature says, right? So when we use this function, the with a parameter of int, we have a parameter of int, then we input 6, it means that we have read the book 6 times. So let's say do, then what happens here is that do mm, you understood what this operation mean, right? We are adding a value of 6. So do robots dream of electric sheep is equals to, or is equals to number of readings plus 6. This is what this formula is. So now we have a basic understanding of how overloading works. Um, so in a simple sentence, overloading is a reuse of a method with a similar name. But the difference is that to actually reuse the same name, the you need to modify the parameters. So the parameters again is the data types that you are putting inside the parentheses. That what is the different between a normal primitive data type and a function or a method. Any questions before we proceed with our next type of overloading? Okay, because I don't think there is no questions. Should I move forward now? So, okay, no questions. So, um, we will be moving on with the second type of constructor. We call this one const rather we call this second type of overloading constructors. So constructors are uh, method overloading technique in which we will be naming it similar to the class name. So here, for instance, the name is book, right? The name is book. So how do we create a constructor? It is simple. We will just state it here, public, then the name of the class. Let's say book. Then do it like a method. Then that's it. Public, then the name of the class, then uh, parentheses to indicate that it is a method. So you can use it right away. Let's say book 1984 book. Uh, so reusing this simply means that you are actually allowed to use this as a function, the whole class as a function. We will be sampling this out with the hero class. So for the hero class, let's say uh, it allows you to actually public, let's say public hero. Then let's say we have a function that adds the statistics of the hero to simplify typing here. As you notice, we have to type everything, right? We have to type everything, which makes the code very long. Why not create a method that actually accepts all of them at once? So we will be creating that. So public hero, then let's say double uh, strength, double ag, then double int. Then let's say we will be adding that, or rather in okay, we are causing an error. So let's say intel. You can't use the int because it is a reserved keyword. Int indicates it's in integer instead of the intelligence that you are actually meaning. So let's say here, we will be adding this to the value. Let's say uh, stats str is equal to str, or rather, we are assigning the value of stat str from the value that is given. Say ag, then int. So the purpose of this function is that it accepts three parameters when we use this. Uh, when we use this, it accepts again. It accepts three parameters: strength, ag, and intelligence. So if we type numbers among it, it will save it directly here. So for example here, if you look at main activity.java, we have used a new one, right? So you notice there is an error, right? It expected three arguments but found zero. So why not type the stats here? Let's just say 26, then uh the other one is 13, then 18. Now, we have eliminated the need to actually put this code here because we are already putting the value above, right? Now, you notice, sir, there is an error because you have used the hero. You have used the hero to have three parameters. Now, it is causing an error if we create another hero that has no value yet. So let's just create a new constructor. Again, constructor is a method that retains the name of the class. So to remove the error here in hero bloodseeker equals new hero, and you notice it asks for strength ag int, but we don't have the value. So let's just create a new one here. Public hero. We will be creating a new method without any constructor. So that's it. That's the code. We have eliminated the error here in line 20. What is causing the error earlier is that um, because there is no default constructor, as you can see here, it expects three arguments or three parameters. which is strength, agi, and int. So if we just add another, or if we add, let me redo, undo. If we add a new constructor based here, then that's it. It functions as it is. You can add as many constructors as you can. For example, we will add a constructor that actually catches all of this data. So let's just do it. So public hero, then hero name, string, hero name, hero. Or let's just say name to uh, simplify it. String name, uh, double uh, str, double agi, double intel, int level, int hp, int mp, double armor. So now we have created uh, a new constructor that actually catches all of the data that we need. So let's just copy everything here. Let's just copy here so that we retain the function. Then name or hero name, which is here above. You can see it in line 4. Hero name, then name, then what's the unused variables? Int level. So hero level is equals to level. We make sure that there are no grade variables here or no grade data types here. So HP base health is equals to HP, then base mana is equals to MP, then the, the last one is armor. Now, we will have an error here. Um, there is a redundancy in this line. You will notice that there is a redundancy in this line. Let's go back. Let's just uh, open this here because this will be. Notice line 27. You will notice it is a redundant code because you are referring to yourself, right? This is where the this keyword enters. This keyword. So I will be orienting you how to use the this keyword. So in a bit, let's just go back in our code. I will be explaining this later on. So let's just add this here. This dot armor is equals to armor. Now we have eliminated the error that we have caused, the redundancy. I will be explaining what this is. What's the purpose of this? But now let's go back to our main activity. Let's just say the hero bloodseeker that we created will retain all the data that we need. So let's just say the first one is string. You need to follow the parameters here, okay? So let's just say then what's the next data type? Okay, double. It says double. So let's just say let's just add a random number, then double agi, then double int level 1, then the HP, let's just say 200, then int MP, let's just say 100, then armor, let's just say 1. So when we did this, we are actually using the public hero or the constructor that uh, this constructor. We are using this. So when we declare it like this, it is fine. So either way, as you can see, you can have several approaches to different methods. So that is what the purpose of uh, the overloading here is. Now, let's move on with the this keyword. A little explanation of what I did with here. As you notice in line 27, I added the word this. So, what actually happened here is because, as you notice, we have declared the word double armor here, right? We have declared double armor here. So, we have declared that there is a variable with a double data type we named armor. So, but we also declared it double armor here. So, we are creating a redundancy in the code. So, when we use the this keyword, when we are using the this keyword, we're actually referring to what is being declared inside the class. So again, when we are using the this keyword, we are referring to the one in the class. So this is just a tip. This is just a tip. Um, you will notice that there is a difference between the class declared variables and the method declared variables. So method declared variables will be shown in Android Studio as white. White. You will notice it name str ag intel. But the class declared variables are shown in purple. So to clear up the confusion, let's try adding more confusion to the mix. We will just clarify everything later on. So we will be reusing this public hero here. Then we will use this uh, variable names. So let's say hero name. We will be using the hero name. Hero name. Okay. Wait. Instead of changing the name, let's just refactor it. Refactor, then rename. Then hero name. You notice it changed to this hero name. Let's do this for the uh, other ones as well. So the shortcut key of refactoring, rename refactoring is Shift F6. Okay. Again, the hotkey for refactor renaming is Shift F6. So let's just change it, change everything. Then uh, hero level, then base health, base, mana, and double armor. Now, this is, let me explain the code now. So, again, we have a parameters with the same name as the one declared above, right? So if we remove the this keyword here, you will be causing a redundancy. Because when we refer the this, we are actually referring to the ones created above. This one, the class declared variables. So what is happening here is that from the parameters, the value is transferred to the one in the classes. So let's just say, let's redo this for this one. So shift F6, stat str, then again stat ag, then F6 stat in. You might have a question here regarding the naming of the variables. Sir, is it okay that we avoid actually naming the same variables so that we don't have to use the this keyword? Yes, totally. You are actually allowed to use your own variable names to avoid using the this keyword. Actually, most other programmers actually avoid naming the similar variable names just to lessen the confusion. What is happening here is that the this keyword is actually for those who like to organize their code in a way that is actually readable for other users. For example, I am the one programming this code, but I will let you continue my program later on. This one serves as a easy reminder that this is actually what this purpose is. It is for actual readability of the code. So now that we have completed the this keyword or the method overloading, I think this sums up our lesson for today, because tomorrow we will be discussing about encapsulation. We will be discussing about encapsulation or information hiding. So my activity for today, I would like you to create a monster class. So let me delete everything regarding the book here. Main activity. Let me remove this one. So let's just refactor, then save, delete. Okay. I want you to create a monster class. Let's just say monster. And create data types. Similar to this. Declare the monster class. You don't have to use the same statistics because it actually makes the code redundant. I want you to have a different values for the monster and for the hero. That is what the class is for. So I want you for your first uh, individual activity to create a monster class with its own set of data types. Then I want you to create 3 constructors, and 2 overloading methods. So variable is up to you. So just an orientation of how to create the monster class. Okay. Um, let's just brainstorm for a bit and imagine ourselves playing an RPG game. Most of the time, we can connect it with, let's just say, Final Fantasy or some other role-playing game that we have played before. So most of the time you won't find uh these kinds of statistics from monsters, right? You won't find this kind of statistics from monsters. What do monsters have? They have health, they have mana, they have armor. Okay, we can use that. They have level, they might have. They might have other statistics like evasion or block or parry, right? So I want you to use that as a variable here. Then create 3 constructors and 2 overloading methods. You will be using these classes. You will be using these classes as your um you will be using the classes project as your basis for this submission. So if this is already uploaded in your GitHub, kindly update it. Okay?